Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today, if you can't guess from the video title, I'm going to be discussing my English language mock, how I revised for that and how I'm revising for language in general. So my mock was made up of paper 1 section A and paper 2 section A, which makes 4 questions, and I had 2 hours 40 minutes, no not 2 hours 20 minutes on during this mock. And overall, I felt happiest about language, as if you watch my exam vlog you'll know. And to start with, paper 1 section A was the week half of my mock. I did quite well on the comparison, which was question 3, which was comparing text A and B. That went really well, better than I thought it had gone, because that was the sort of one I was more pushed for time on, because I did the mock in the order that it appeared. So I did text first and I left the essay question till the end, which if I could go back I don't know, because I still finished, so I don't know whether I would change that, because I don't think I would want to be writing that question 3 right at the end. So where I struggled most was questions 1 and 2, which I didn't expect that I would, because we've done loads of practice for it in lessons. I've done some practice questions at home. To be fair, I'd done more practice questions for paper 2 section A, so I think that was reflected in the mock, because that was the bit that was the strongest, definitely. So the primary way that I revised for paper 1 section A was practice questions, because most of that part of the exam was more to do with exam technique and annotating text. So I annotated a lot of text on my own. We did lots of practice questions in lesson, and I did my own practice questions at home. I did more paper 2 section A questions on my own, but I still did quite a lot of practice questions between the stuff I was doing in lessons and between the stuff that I was doing independently. I did quite a lot for that. And in the mock, I think I panicked because of the time. And then for paper 2 section A, there's things that I actually have to learn. So whereas paper 1 section A, it's more about knowing how to annotate a text and remembering what gap actually stands for and stuff. Paper 2, it's about remembering gender theorists and stuff. And this was definitely my much stronger half of the mock, because I got 28 out of 30, which I'm super happy with. I think that's the highest mark I've ever got in one of those questions. And in the mock, because we haven't studied language change, we had a choice between a gender question, which I didn't answer, and a question about the link between language and identity, which was absolutely lovely. And that was such a good question to choose to answer, because I could bring in accent and dialect theory, gender theory, which I did, and then I could have brought in ethnicity theory. I probably should have used ethnicity theory in the mock, because it would have been super relevant. Okay, so how I learnt the theories that I brought into the essay, so this is revision now, not really about the mock. So I typed up my written notes, which was a mixture of stuff that I'd researched to find out more information on, and the notes that I have from the booklets that we've used in class to cover the theories. And then I condensed these notes into summaries, and my gender summaries are 4 pages long, because I've got 15 theories for that, and my accent and dialect theories are 2 pages long, because there's only 8 of them that I've learnt. And in that there was any statistics that need to be known. So from those summaries, they included slightly more detailed stuff with the statistics and stuff. I made mind maps, and for the gender notes I also made flashcards, but I didn't find those particularly useful for learning them. And then after I'd done accent dialect theory write-up as well, so I'd got 2 groups of theories then for each of the diversity areas, I decided I was going to make a big A3 mind map, which is going to have all 5 diversity units on it, and then all of my theory names as well. So, but by this time, I say this time next year, by this time next year I would have finished my A-level, so probably a bit late to be doing any revision. Probably by this time next March or something, I'll have finished this diversity mind map, and hopefully I will have all of the theorists and all of the theories that I want to have learnt by my exam on one A3 sheet, which I think will be really helpful because I can go around the sheet and see where I've got weaknesses, because I did that on a smaller scale with accent, dialect and gender before the mock, so that was really useful. And what I did with that was I said what I could remember about the theorist's interest, methodology, results, link studies and evaluative comments. So like that's essentially how I revised the theories, and it was just repeatedly looking at them and making sure that they were refreshed in my mind. But probably the more important thing I did was timed practice questions, because so it's all well and good saying that I can write an essay on performativity and gender and stuff, but if it takes me 2 hours to do it, there's not much point because I'll only get about half the essay done. So doing time practice questions really helped me condense how I was writing, and I found that lots of the ideas that I was using, or like how I was using the theories, were quite similar. So like certain things linked together, like there was like in pretty much all of the essays there was a paragraph on like performativity and the theories that linked to that, and community of practice and the theories that linked to that, and some other different models and ideas, because they were all kind of linked. I concentrated on this part of the mock because I was really worried about remembering the theories, which I think I said. But yeah, overall this mock was the one that I came out of, and I was positive, I felt happy, and I know that I need to do more practice for the meanings and representations questions over the summer and make sure I keep up with the language terminology, because to be honest, getting those things wrong did let me down a little bit in the mock. I was quite disappointed, even though some of them have been complete guesses, because it was like I want to use this quote but I don't want to say the quote because that's stupid. So yeah, I got an A in this mock, so this was definitely one of the better ones. Like I felt a lot better about it than I did about Spanish and English lit. Even though in reflection, now I've got all 3 back because I've got my literature back today, I did better in literature than I did in Spanish, and I came out of literature and cried. Like I thought it had gone awful. And I think over the summer there are things that I need to do with this subject, so I need to finish writing up my ethnicity notes, some paper 1 section A meanings and representations questions, some comparisons because I want to keep up with that, so because that was one of the strongest bits, but I don't want to let that slip when I'm focusing on something else. Some grammar revisions and learning the ethnicity theories, and also revising the other theories that I've already done. However, I think my mocks have really made me realise how if I struggle with something, I tend to ignore it, and this is not particularly relevant for language or literature, much more so for Spanish. And I don't want Spanish or any of them to limit where I can go in the future, because I know that I'm more confident in English, and that's something that I really need to focus on over the summer, working on my Spanish and just trying to get that up to a similar sort of level as English. Like I don't think I'll ever be as passionate about Spanish as I am about English, but that's why I want to do English at uni, not Spanish and English. So that makes sense. But I want an A at the end of this A level, and the only way I'm going to get that is if I start putting in as much work as I do for like my other subjects and just not burying my head in the sand about it. And I've got the summer essentially to not even turn this around, because the grade that I got in my Spanish mock was not bad. I've done a lot of work this year, but some of the things I did weren't at all effective. So like I've learnt a lot in the last year. I've learnt a lot about how I revise, about how I learn as a person as well. So yeah, we have now gained a year of knowledge from doing 6th form essentially, and I'm going to take that through the summer and into next year. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment below ideas for future videos, what you liked about this one, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. So bye guys.